And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon to be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. We've got a great show for you. But first, if you like this show or any of our other shows, be sure to hit the like button. And if you've not yet done it as well, please subscribe to our YouTube channel where you get all this unbelievable content in one place. So I'd like to speak to you today about Aliyah, right? Emigrating to Israel and what you need to do sort of in terms of a financial planning approach to your Aliyah, right? It's a big decision to move to Israel, obviously. It's one that in certain respects, people sort of tend to forget a little bit about their finances because they're busy, especially married couples with kids, about communities they're going to go live in, schooling. Those things tend to take the front seat, and oftentimes financial planning takes the back seat. But let's not forget, there are various aspects to financial planning. It might not just be about investments. It might be about, well, can we actually make it on a monthly basis, right? That's something that should probably be in the driver's seat, not even in the, not even in the front, the passenger seat. That should be way up front. So I'd like to speak to you about some tips that you can do to get organized financially and make sure that Aliyah in the financial arena is right to you. So when you put together your plan, right, there are a bunch of things that you've got to do. Should you sell your home or not? Or in a business? Selling a home might be worthwhile. It might be the only way. It might be if it's your biggest asset, it might be the only way that you can then go ahead and purchase a home here in Israel, right? So that's important. It might be that you're a commuter, right? That you're going to continue your job in the States and that you need your home to live in while you're away. These are all things that you need to think about, okay? Before you come, you want to tie up your financial ends. Yeah, if you owe money to people, pay off all those debts. Okay, that's first and foremost. Get out of debt. You don't want to come to Israel and have a whole bunch of debt and debt collectors on you. Clean slate. When you come to Israel, when you land in Ben Gurion, everything is important for you that you start from scratch. Okay. Does your profession entail you that you have professional licensing? Right? Are you a doctor? Are you an accountant? Are you one of these things that require that you have an Israeli license as well? Will they convert your license automatically? Maybe they won't. There's been a lot of movement, good movement in recent years to convert licenses, but not in every profession is that something which is possible, okay? How much is education going to cost for your children? Or maybe even for you, if you're younger, if you're a young Oleh who's coming here and you plan on going to school in Israel, how much is that going to cost you? If you've got a bunch of kids, right, who are going to go to high school, if they're going to go to university here, elementary school, how much is that all going to cost? And it varies. Some of these things vary from city to city as well. Is it going to cost me money to make what's called a lift, right? When I pack up all my belongings and I ship them to Israel, how much does that cost? Right? That's something we might not always think about, but that could be something that's expensive as well. I strongly urge you before you make all of it to at least be in contact with some professionals, financial professionals, whether that's an accountant, potentially a lawyer, financial advisor, estate planners. These are all things because things are different, right? Israel is different than America or Canada or the UK or wherever you're coming from. It has its own nuances. Dual citizens have their own nuances. And you've got to be smart about setting up things financially from the state or even from a personal financial situation so that you don't end up overpaying in taxes. You want things to be efficient and you want to take advantage where one jurisdiction might have more opportunity, let's say. You want to take advantage of that. And you need to really sort of walk hand in hand with a professional who can help you navigate those waters, so to speak. Another thing I'd like to speak about, this is an issue that came up. I actually had a meeting with somebody the other day, and they wanted to know about life insurance. Should they buy life insurance? Now, they never thought about it. They were recently married. They have a young child, and they wanted to know now, right? Should we be responsible and get life insurance? And if so, where? Now, there are people who come on Aliyah who already have life insurance policies from their originating country. Okay, the first thing you have to do is call the, if that's you, right? Call the insurance company and make sure that if something were to happen to you in Israel, that they would actually pay, that they would pay out. Years ago, there was a whole scandal, let's say, that there were a bunch of American insurance companies who refused to pay out claims for people who were killed in terror attacks, people who were killed in Israel. Now, from what I understand, I'm not an expert. I don't know, I barely know the first thing about life insurance, but you really want to make sure that your specific policy that you've been paying into all these years is going to be valid basically in Israel. And if not, you want to think twice about continuing to pay premiums on that. You might want to get a local Israeli insurance policy. That's also important. Another thing that Olim are going to have to look at, and one of the reasons they should maybe speak to an accountant or tax planner, is there is what's called the 10-year tax holiday on income that's generated outside of Israel that Olim have, right? So let's say you've got, I don't know, you've got some real estate abroad, you've got other passive income that's coming in. You have 10 years where you don't have to pay Israel, not the US, you got to pay the US, but you don't have to pay Israel any tax on that. And that might mean, you know, whether you can, that might be the difference whether you can come, make Aliyah successfully or financially or not, right? Do you have to pay tax or do you not have to pay tax? Again, you really, really need to speak to an accountant. I urge it, right? I'm not a tax professional. I don't know the first thing about taxes, and don't come to me, right? Speak to a licensed accountant, because that's really, really important. There are other things that are specific to Israel where you're going to want to speak again to some kind of tax specialist or estate planner to make sure, now that you're in a second jurisdiction, how, if you have an estate plan put in place, what the ramifications of your Aliyah are going to be on that. And if you've yet to do that, well, once you get to Israel, it's a good time, again, clean slate, get everything in order. Do I need 2 wills? Do I need an Israeli will and a US will, for example? Right, these are all issues. Do I want to do a trust? How does Israel treat trusts? These are all issues which you really, really need to think about when you're coming, especially if you've got a more complicated financial situation. Okay, those are just a few tips. I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to spare you all. Okay, so you've been tuning in to the Aaron Katzman Show, where we speak about your life, your money, and your investments. If you like this or any of my other content on YouTube, please hit right there the like button. And like over here, if you've yet do it, is the subscribe button. So please do it. Tell your friends. We need subscribers desperately. No, we're doing okay. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will speak to you soon.